Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move forward here with the talking portion of this tutorial. We've got this shot here of the cat meowing at the camera, and it's very important that we have the cat meowing straight on towards the camera so that we don't have to worry about perspective, unmatching perspectives. And we're gonna bring that shot here into Mocha Pro. So we have the shot here that's been cut down of the cat meowing. We're gonna import this shot here, and now we can zoom in here on the mouth and once again see that we have a shot where the cat is pretty much facing straight on towards the camera. And what we're going to do now is add a rigid spline here to the cat's face. We want to do it on its nose and its mouth as close to a planar surface as possible. And we're going to go ahead and track forward. And now when the cat meows, we can see there's some meshing, there's some warping going on. But that's totally fine because we're still getting the general gist of where its mouth is moving, and we're going to be able to get a solid stabilized shot from this track. What we're doing right now is we're going to be stabilizing the shot so that when we can see that the cat is moving, his head is moving. When he meows, there's a lot more movement going on, and we want to stabilize this so that we can then add it on top of our backplate footage. So here we're going to add our rotation stabilization. We don't need the size or anything else because we know that the size of the cat doesn't change because he's in one position and our camera is also in one position. So now we're going to go ahead and export this stabilized tracking data here and hit copy to clipboard. And then now we can go back here into After Effects. We're going to grab that clip, hit Command 0 here to bring up our projects bin, and we can make a new composition out of this clip, and we're going to paste on, hit Command V or Control V. Now we've pasted on our stabilized tracking data, and now you can see that the footage is jostling around, but giving us a stabilized shot right around the nose. So that's pretty cool. And now that that has been done, we can actually clip this shot so that it only includes the frames that we need to make him look like he's talking. So we're going to go from when his mouth opens to when it closes, and now we can export this data. So we're going to add it to render queue, and we're going to export it full animation so that we don't lose any quality, and just choose a nice place to save that. And the reason we're going to be exporting this is so that we can bring it back into Mocha Pro. So now we're going to create a new project here. We're going to grab that same clip that we just exported, import it here, and now we're going to zoom in here again on the mouth. And now let's take this spline tool, and this is the part where we're going to actually mask out the mouth. And we're going to do this here in Mocha because we know that there's a significant amount of distortion in his mouth movement, and so we want to track that. And the great thing about planar tracking is it allows us to do this here, where we can create the spline around his mouth and use this tracking data to mask out the mouth. So we're going to track the top and the bottom separately. And now we can actually go through here and adjust it. And now when we adjust this, remember that we're only adjusting the mask here. We're not adjusting the track. And then when we move forward, it's going to gather that new tracking data and continue on from that position. So that's one of my favorite parts about Mocha, is the fact that we can go through at any point and just adjust it and change our search area. And it's just going to change the tracking data after that point. Now let's go back to our first frame. And one of my favorite parts here about Mocha is the variable feathering slash masking that we can do here in Mocha Pro. So right now I'm just making some little adjustments where I see that I want the mouth to cut off at. And there's a variety of different patterns that we can see here in its mouth. We can see the fur goes from being a little bit shorter to a little bit longer. And so let's go here on our layer properties, and we can add a feather here. So we select our spline points and we can add our feather here. And so we're just selecting them, and because we can see that the fur is longer on the sides and shorter on the top, we want to add a variable width feather so that it's feathering at a greater pixel distance on the sides than it is on the top. So you can see that on the sides we've got our feathered mask that's extending for a longer period, and then on the top we've got it extending for a shorter distance. And now we can adjust this, move it around, and our mask is going to better represent the pattern that we have here on the kitten's face. And now if we play through this, we can see that our mask is moving through beautifully. Now we can go up here and select our mat here so we can see what's going on. So we've got this mat. We're going to export this shape data. We're just going to copy that to the clipboard. And now if we go into After Effects, we can create a new solid. And again, we're doing this in the same composition that we previously stabilized our footage. We've got our new solid. Now we just hit Command V and we've pasted our data onto there, and we can see that the feathering has been added in. And now what we can do is take our track mat and set it to the alpha mat, and now you can see that we've got this awesome alpha mat of the top part of the kitten's mouth. Now if we go back here into our shot, we're just going to do the same for the bottom so that we can add those two together. And now once that bottom lip has been tracked in, we can add in the center piece. And so we're seeing here we've got that motion tracked mask on. And now let's take our bottom plate and duplicate it. We're going to bring it to the bottom here. And we can now add a mask. It's a super rough mask. We don't need to worry about tracking it because it's going to be really easy to do. And we're just going to add that mask in the middle here so that it kind of fills in our gaps. Once we've masked out our meow, we can go back here into Mocha Pro, and we're going to just retrack the original backplate and make sure that we're focusing just on the mouth. And so we're not going to be worrying about any of the deforming that we have in the upper cheek at all. We just want to focus on the nose/mouth area. So let's go ahead and add another spline again to the nose. Now we might have been able to get away with the previous track, but I just like to make certain that we're getting the best track possible. And with Mocha, it can be done so fast. So I don't mind going back and retracking certain areas, even if it just makes a small difference. So I just select that area, and then I'm going to track forward. Okay, so let's go ahead and export this back here into After Effects, copy to clipboard, open up After Effects, and let's make a new null object by hitting Command Alt Control Y, and then we're going to paste the data in there by hitting Command or Control V, depending on whether you have a Mac or a PC. And now that data has been tracked in there, and we're going to go ahead and delete the scale transformation because we know that the scale doesn't change because the cat stays in one spot. And now let's go ahead and rename this composition. This is the mouth that we've previously rotoed out, and now we can drag that mouth on the top here. We can see it on top of the other clip, and now we can parent it to our new tracking data. Now we can line up the new mouth on top of the old one. So we're going to go here and click on Difference. There's a composite mode, and that allows us to see the difference between this layer and the layer directly underneath it. The visible layer directly underneath it. And so now we can move this around, and when the shot is lined up, then we're going to see black. So wherever we see color, that means that it's not lined up. It's not going to be perfect, but we can get it pretty close. So now that that shot is lined up, now what we're going to do is go to our time remap tool here in After Effects, and we're just going to extend this. Now this is one of the most time-consuming parts of making the cat talk, is the time remapping. We're going to add a keyframe here when his mouth is the most open. We've got a keyframe here at the end when his mouth is almost closed. Now if we move this around here in our timeline, see that the second meow is tracked on. We've got a little bit of a cutoff here, so we want to ease that in with our opacity keyframes. And now I'm just going to skip to our final project here, and we can see that we just use the keyframes to animate the way that the Pikachu was talking. We can see that we're just using a time remap to adjust this here, and that's all it takes. It helps if you have reference of what you want the cat to say, so have you or someone that you know record themselves talking and saying what you want the cat or animal to say, and then you can use that reference footage to match up with the cat footage.